Welcome home, Trevor. You must be tired from your business trip. My husband Trevor, who had always acted like a tyrant at home, had just returned from a business trip. As soon as he saw me, he twisted his face in disgust.
Your face just darkens my mood. Seeing you is so depressing.
He then started eating the dinner I had prepared, lounging in the living room. I stood by him like a maid. After finishing his meal, he headed to the bath, flinging his suit at my face as I went to get his change of clothes.
Hey, maid! Take this to the cleaners.
Yes. I squatted to pick up the suit, feeling crushed by being called a maid. While checking the pocket before sending it for cleaning, my fingers brushed against a piece of paper. Unfolding it, my eyes widened in shock. At that moment, I realized everything. I see how it is. Well, if that's the case, I have my own plan. Soon, he would be begging me, his face pale with fear. My name is Brianna, a 31-year-old working from home as a web designer, married for 2 years. Trevor and I met at the matchmaking party 3 years ago. He is a sales rep at a small company and used to play rugby. His assertive approach initially seemed manly and reliable to me, who had a little experience in love. A year into dating, he proposed, and I accepted, dreaming of a happy family life.
I can't wait to start a happy family with you, Brianna.
Me neither, Trevor. I'm looking forward to our future.
Well, first off, you should quit your job.
What? I worked at a big web production company then. I was a lead there and felt fulfilled. I actually want to keep working even after we got married.
Of course, you have to quit your job. No way I'm going to support a wife who just slacks off at home.
I felt a bit irked by his comment, but I decided to let it go for now and asked, why do I have to quit?
If you keep working after we are married, it's like I'm not man enough to support you. It's embarrassing, so just quit your job, okay?
He had some rather old-fashioned views about men being men. I never expected him to go this far though. But...
Your job can be done from home, right? So just work from home. End of discussion.
In the end, I couldn't oppose him and reluctantly left my job. I decided to become a freelance web designer working from home. Honestly, I did miss my old job, but I couldn't stand up to Trevor. Later, he and I rented an apartment and started living together. However, soon after we got married, I was shocked to discover something. Trevor couldn't handle basically any work around the house. We hadn't lived together before getting married. I had been living alone, while he had always lived with his parents, even after starting his career. Maybe that's why he couldn't even do basic things like cooking or using the washing machine. Initially, I thought he would learn in time, but he showed no interest in doing so. He would just dump all the housework on me and spend his time as he pleased, often playing video games. My frustration with him kept growing. One day, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to talk to him. Hey Trevor, could you please start doing a bit more housework?
What did you say?
He sat up from the couch where he'd been lounging and scrolling through his phone, looking annoyed. I'm saying you need to help out more with the housework, Trevor.
Why?
He looked genuinely confused, so I replied in surprise. Because we live together. You need to share in the housework.
What are you talking about, Brianna? It's always been understood that housework is wife's job.
His casual dismissal confused me. Are you being serious? It's normal for both spouses to share housework. I'm working too, you know.
But you're just playing around on the computer at home. Calling that a job is an exaggeration. It doesn't matter whether you work outside or not. Housework is a wife's responsibility.
That's not right. His dependable and manly nature, which I admired, turned out to be just a facade of a domineering husband. No matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. So I ended up doing all the housework. Time passed, and about a year into our marriage, Trevor started coming home late and being away more often, saying he was busy at work. His attitude at home became increasingly arrogant. One night, when he didn't return home even past 11 p.m., I finished the housework and went to bed early. Then, late at night, he came home and woke me up.
Hey, Brianna, wake up.
What? What's going on, Trevor? I asked, rubbing my eyes, and he yelled at me.
How dare you sleep before your husband comes home? You are supposed to greet me with a smile when I return.
But I tried to contact you, but you didn't respond, and I have work tomorrow.
No excuses. When I come home, you should greet me with a smile, have dinner and a bath ready.
You are joking, right?
Of course not. Now get up. I'm hungry, so make me some late night snacks.
I looked at the clock. It was past 2 a.m. At this hour? Give me a break.
Just make the snack. If you don't listen, we might as well get a divorce.
Shocked by his mention of divorce, I got up. Nervously, I made the snack as he instructed. He watched it with crossed arms until it was ready, then ate it with satisfaction.
After this, I'm going to take a bath, so get my towel and clothes ready.
Okay, got it. I felt like a maid. I kept trying to fulfill his demands, even though it was hard. Around that time, my freelance work became busier. Even though I was working from home, I finally had steady clients and was busy with deadlines. The stress of my demanding job, the need to be perfect in housework, and Trevor's tyrannical attitude were overwhelming. Before I knew it, I started suffering from chronic stomach pain. Trevor continued to be absent from home. When he did come home, he was usually drunk and treated me with disdain. There were no more outings or peaceful conversations as a couple. I even started thinking that it would be better if he didn't come home at all. I mean, all he would do at home is to act like a king. Then one day, I made a small mistake. I was feeling under the weather with a cold and forgot to buy a new pair of socks that Trevor had asked for.
Where are the new socks?
He asked irritably early in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to buy them. I've been feeling sick since yesterday.
How incompetent can you be? You're really useless.
He sighed and continued.
Go buy them now, and use your own money, of course.
But I've got a fever and a cold.
No excuses. This is why you're no good. Go buy them now.
Despite feeling dizzy, I was sent out in my pajamas to the supermarket. As I returned home with the socks, I cried. Why did I have to take all this? Doesn't he love me anymore? I couldn't stop my tears. Sometime later, Trevor said he was going on a business trip and left. I won't be yelled at by my husband tonight. I felt relieved, focused on my work, and settled for pizza for dinner. I finally had a relaxing evening. The next evening, he came home. Welcome home, Trevor. You must be tired from your business trip. I welcomed him saying so. But as soon as he saw me, he twisted his face in disgust.
Your face just darkens my mood. Seeing you is so depressing.
He then started eating the dinner I had prepared, lounging in the living room. I stood by him like a maid. After finishing his meal, he headed to the bath, flinging his suit at my face as I went to get his change of clothes.
Hey, maid! Take this to the cleaners.
Yes. I squatted to pick up the suit, feeling crushed by being called a maid. While checking the pockets before sending it for cleaning, my fingers brushed against a piece of paper. Unfolding it, my eyes widened in shock. It was a hotel receipt. It seems to be for a cottage, or something like that. Why would he stay in a cottage when he was supposedly on a business trip? With trembling hands, I took out my phone and searched. The search results showed a cottage in the next state. So that's what it was. He was acting all high and mighty at home, but he was cheating on me. Well, in that case, I have a plan too. I quietly put away the receipt. That day, I acted as usual in front of him. The next day, I started taking action. I decided to hire a detective agency to investigate Trevor. I had my own job and couldn't follow him around or do the investigating myself. Plus, I didn't want to slip up and let him catch on. Luckily, I found a detective agency with reasonable prices and female detectives. 2 weeks later, I had all the evidence of his infidelity, like it was nothing. Photos of him entering a motel with a young woman I didn't know, kissing in his car. I couldn't help but pump my fist in victory. By that time, I had no love left for him. I was just happy to have the evidence. The detective agency stopped smiling wryly at me, began to speak. "Ma'am, here's what we found from the investigation." I held my breath as she continued. The next day, after Trevor left for work, I packed my things. I called a moving truck and had them take my stuff to my parents' house. That night, as I relaxed at my parents' home, Trevor called. I ignored his calls, but he called repeatedly, what you would call bombarding me with calls. I just kept ignoring them. The next day, the calls continued, even in the daytime. Finally annoyed, I decided to answer. "Hello?"
Hey, where the hell are you? You left without saying a word.
I calmly replied to his barrage. "I'm at my parents' house."
What? I didn't give you permission to go back there. Your stuff is gone too. What are you planning?
Why should I serve someone who called me a maid? I couldn't stand it anymore, so I left.
Why are you making a big deal out of this? Come back now and do the housework.
He yelled furiously, and I sighed before responding. "I'm not coming back to that house."
What did you say?
"I will be waiting at the cafe near your office after work. We can talk there. Bye." I said that, hung up, and smirked. "All right, let's do this," I muttered and sent an email to someone. A few hours later, as promised, I waited at the cafe. Trevor arrived furious.
What do you mean by not coming home?
He blurted out aggressively as he sat down. "Like I said on the phone, I can't be your wife anymore."
What? Are you planning to divorce me?
"Yes, that's my intention." As I calmly answered, he was about to yell back, turning red, when suddenly his phone rang. "Aren't you going to answer? It might be important." He answered the call with a disgruntled expression, and his face turned pale. After the call, he looked down, covering his mouth wide-eyed. "What's wrong? Did they fire you after all?"
Come again?
I stared straight at him as he turned to me. "You got fired or demoted for messing with the daughter of a client CEO, huh? I hope they fired your ass. So this is what the detective agency had told me. That Trevor had been cheating with the daughter of a client, hiding the fact he was married. I had all the evidence.
Oh, what do you know about that? What's going on?
Well, I'm the one who reported it to your company.
What?
He was shocked, and I smiled while he stammered.
Do you realize what you have done?
Yes, I'm well aware. I also reported the details to the CEO. He was furious and wanted to see the evidence, so I gave him the photos.
You did what?
His phone rang again. When I urged him to answer, he did so tremblingly. From the phone, I could hear a young woman crying and yelling. It seemed like the CEO's daughter, his mistress, was losing it on the phone. Trevor, unable to say a word, hung up with a pale face. Poor thing, the other woman. She was just deceived by you.
When? When did you find out?
He asked, his voice quivering, and I answered calmly. Remember when you called me a maid and threw your suit at my face? There was a receipt for the cottage in that suit pocket. That's why I hired a detective. He was gaping in shock.
No, it's not like that. It was just a fling. I never planned to divorce you.
Oh, after all that arrogant behavior? I will never forgive you. As I glared at him, he suddenly started pleading.
I don't want to get fired. She said she will sue me for compensation. I won't be able to survive. Please, help me. Forgive me, Brianna.
At that moment, I splashed the water from my cup onto him.
What the hell?
This is nothing compared to what I've had to go through. I'm divorcing you, and I will be demanding $35,000 in compensation for your affair. Make sure you pay up, you jerk. Go to hell. He turned ashen and panicked. He was muttering,
I don't want a divorce. Please help me.
I looked at his pathetic state and regretted ever marrying such a man. Shaking off the clinging Trevor, I left the cafe alone. Later, my divorce from him was finalized. With the help of a lawyer, I received $35,000 in compensation for his infidelity right away. I got half of our assets in the settlement. The CEO, the father of his mistress, was furious and ended business with his company. Trevor really got fired from his job. He was also sued by his mistress and forced to pay her compensation. Because of all this, Trevor ended up living in a rundown apartment, buried in debt, and working like a host day and night. I felt no sympathy for him. He got what he deserved. As for me, I used the alimony to move into our new apartment and live comfortably. My career is thriving, and I'm earning more now than when I was single. It's more than enough to live on my own. From now on, I want to take care of myself and carve out a bright future